Okay, so imagine this. You're out for a late night walk, right, with your dog in a park, like the back of your hand.
Mm.
Seems pretty peaceful, yeah. Well, that's exactly what Katherine Janness thought, too.
Right.
Until, well, it turned into a total nightmare.
Oh, wow.
Today, we're diving deep into her unsolved murder.
Okay.
It happened in Atlanta's Piedmont Park.
I see.
And we're using this article from citytowner.com.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Katherine, or Katie, as everyone called her?
Yeah.
It's honestly every city dweller's worst fear.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
So, what's so unsettling about this case? I mean, you've seen a lot of these, right?
Yeah, I've got to say what really gets me and what I think makes this one so disturbing is that it happened in a place most people would consider a sanctuary
Oh,
or
yeah, for sure.
a park,
Totally.
And I think this case really gets under your skin because
Yep.
it makes you question those everyday routines, those spaces
Right.
we often take for granted,
I know, right?
Mhm.
It really
Yeah.
makes you think twice about that evening jog,
Yeah,
or even just walking the dog after dark.
exactly.
Before we get into all the chilling details of that night,
Okay.
let's try and paint a picture of Katie's life before all this.
Yeah.
Before it became a true crime headline.
Yeah, that's important.
What could you tell us about her?
Well, from what I gathered in the article, Katie wasn't just a name on a police report.
Right.
She was this vibrant part of her community,
Mm-hmm.
a talented musician, a friendly face behind the bar,
Yeah.
someone deeply loved by her partner, Emma Clark. They had their routines, their favorite spots, their dog, Bowie, just living their lives.
And that's what makes this whole thing so heartbreaking, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't some shadowy figure
Right.
lurking in a dark alley.
Yeah.
This was someone just going about their normal life.
Exactly.
In fact, the article mentions that walking Bowie in Piedmont Park after her shift was a routine thing for Katie.
Hmm.
It was July 28th, 2021,
Mm.
around 1 a.m. when she headed out.
Wow.
Can you imagine? That late, in a park, usually so peaceful.
Yeah, that's eerie
Sure.
at that time of night, It really amplifies the eerie nature of what happened.
Right.
The article really highlights this contrast between the perceived safety of the park and the brutal reality of the crime.
Yeah, it's awful.
And get this, Emma actually started to worry when Katie didn't return home
Oh, no.
and wasn't answering her phone.
Of course.
So she used a tracking app,
Yeah.
something so many of us rely on now,
For sure.
and followed the signal straight to the entrance of the park near 10th Street and Charles Allen Drive.
Wait, so she tracked her phone to the park entrance?
Yeah,
That's straight out of a horror movie.
I know, it's chilling.
So she basically walked into this nightmare unknowingly.
It seems that way.
Yeah, and that's where she made the horrific discovery.
Yeah.
God, I can't imagine what must have been going through her mind at that moment.
It's just unimaginable.
This is where it gets really tough to hear.
Okay.
The crime scene details in the article
Yeah.
they're brutal, honestly.
Oh, God.
Katie had been stabbed multiple times.
Oh, my goodness.
The police report mentioned over 50 wounds.
That's just awful.
And Bowie, the dog,
Yeah.
he was also killed,
Oh, no.
stabbed as well.
That's just senseless.
It's just senseless.
It really is.
And to make matters even worse, there's another detail that makes this case even more chilling.
What's that?
The word FAT was carved into Katie's body.
Whoa, okay, that changes things.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
It immediately suggests this wasn't just a random robbery gone wrong.
No, not at all.
This feels personal,
Yeah,
Maybe even driven by some kind of twisted rage.
you're right.
What do you think?
I'd say it's a detail that screams psychological complexity.
Yeah.
In my experience, carvings or markings on a victim
Hmm?
often point to a deeper motive, possibly related to hatred, control,
Yeah.
or a desire to dehumanize the victim. God, that's horrible.
It's a chilling calling card,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, a puzzle piece that hasn't been solved yet.
It's scary to think someone capable of that is out there.
Absolutely.
The article mentions the Atlanta Police Department, and the FBI launched a full-blown investigation.
I see.
I mean, they had surveillance footage,
Yeah.
crime scene evidence.
Right.
They even released sketches of people seen near the park that night.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think they'd have caught a break by now.
You'd think so, right? But Piedmont Park, while it does have those surveillance cameras,
Yeah.
they didn't actually capture the attack itself.
Oh, wow.
And the article emphasizes how frustrating this was for investigators.
Oh, I bet.
And no murder weapon was ever found.
Really?
And those sketches, while helpful in generating leads,
Yeah.
didn't lead to any concrete arrests.
Wow.
It's like this case was designed to be a mystery.
So with all this effort, why is this case still unsolved?
Well, there are a couple factors that might explain it.
Um, Firstly, even with all the advancements we've made in forensics,
Mm.
crime scenes, well, they aren't always straightforward.
Right.
Evidence can be contaminated, weather can degrade things,
Yeah, of course.
witnesses might not come forward.
Yeah.
And secondly, sometimes the simplest answer is the most frustrating one.
Okay.
The perpetrator was incredibly careful, planned meticulously,
Oh, wow.
and left very little trace behind.
So they were good at what they did.
It seems so, yeah.
That's unsettling, but also kind of impressive in a twisted way.
I know, right? It's strange.
So with the investigation at a standstill, did any theories about Katie's murder emerge?
Oh, absolutely. Without a clear suspect or a motive, speculation, well, it runs wild.
Yeah.
Some folks, I've seen this happen in other cases too,
Right.
they clung to this idea that it was a random act of violence,
Right.
especially given how brutal it was.
Right.
Maybe someone with a history of mental instability lashing out without a clear target.
That's terrifying to think about.
It is.
That you could just be in the wrong place at the wrong time
Yeah.
and become the victim of someone else's, I don't know, inner turmoil.
It's a scary thought for sure.
Did anyone think maybe Katie knew her attacker? That it was personal?
That was another strong theory.
Okay.
The article mentions that detectives looked into Katie's personal life, her work relationships, anything that might point to a hidden conflict or a grudge,
Right.
but nothing substantial ever came up.
Man, it's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
And what about that carving, the word FAT?
Yeah.
Did that lead investigators anywhere?
Sadly, no.
Really?
The article doesn't indicate that the word had any specific connection to Katie's life, or that it led to any breakthroughs, really.
It's such a chilling detail for sure,
It is.
but it remains an enigma,
Yeah.
possibly intended to mislead or throw off the investigation.
Should be.
I can't even imagine the frustration and the fear
Yeah.
that must have just gripped the community. Knowing this happened in a place where people go to relax, to exercise, to enjoy nature,
Yeah.
it really shatters that sense of safety, doesn't it?
You're absolutely right.
Right.
The article highlights how this case just shook Atlanta to its core.
Yeah,
It wasn't just a crime story, it was a community tragedy.
totally.
It became a constant reminder of their vulnerability,
Hmm.
the fact that even in a familiar, well-lit park, something like this could happen.
It's like that feeling you get when you hear noise in your house at night.
Yeah.
It's probably nothing,
Right.
but it still makes your heart race.
For sure.
Except this wasn't nothing.
No.
This was a horrific reality for Katie and those who loved her.
Exactly. And you have to remember,
Yeah.
this isn't just an abstract case file for the police and the FBI.
Right.
This is about real people whose lives were forever changed by this act of violence.
Of course.
Katie's family, her friends, her partner, Emma,
Yeah.
they're all living with the pain of her loss and the unanswered questions.
The article does mention that people rallied around Katie's memory.
Yeah.
There were vigils, memorials, online campaigns demanding justice for her.
It's good to see people coming together.
Yeah, it really shows how a tragedy like this can also bring a community together in a powerful way.
Absolutely.
Why do you think that is?
I think those acts of remembrance are so important.
Okay.
They allow people to express their grief,
Right.
to share their anger, and to find solace in collective mourning.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And as you said, it keeps the case alive in the public consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Someone out there knows something,
Yeah.
and maybe seeing those faces, hearing those stories will be the push they need to come forward.
It's a reminder that even in the face of something so awful, there's still hope.
I agree.
And speaking of hope,
Yeah.
the article mentions a reward being offered for information about Katie's murder.
Oh, wow.
Do you think that will make a difference?
It's definitely a strong incentive. The article states that a $20,000 reward is being offered for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of Katie's killer.
Wow, okay.
That kind of money can motivate people, especially if they have information they've been hesitant to share.
Yeah, for sure.
It happens.
It's a long shot,
It is.
but sometimes that's all it takes.
Absolutely.
Just one person with the right piece of the puzzle
Right.
to finally crack this case wide open.
Couldn't agree more.
So, for anyone listening out there, if you know anything at all about what happened to Katie, please contact the authorities.
You could be the key to bringing closure to this case and providing some measure of peace to those who loved Katie.
Right.
It's never too late to do the right thing.
This deep dive has been heavy, no doubt about it.
It has.
But it's important to confront these realities even when they're uncomfortable.
I think so too.
What I'm taking away from this is just how fragile life can be
Yeah.
and how important it is to cherish those we love and speak up if we know something's wrong.
I agree. I agree completely.
So what does all this mean for you, the listener? What stays with you after diving deep into this unsolved case?
What's so fascinating about cases like this,
Yeah.
and I think it's something that stays with everyone who hears about them, is that they make you question the very nature of safety and risk.
Okay.
We all have these routines, these places we consider safe spaces.
For sure.
But Katie's story is a harsh reminder that that feeling of security can be shattered in an instant.
Yeah, that's definitely hit home for me.
Yeah.
I think it makes you appreciate those everyday moments even more, those walks in the park, those evenings with loved ones.
Right.
Because you never know when it might be the last time. It also makes you wonder, right, how we as a society can do better,
Yeah.
how we can create communities where people feel safe,
Right.
and supported, even in the face of such darkness.
That's the question a lot of people are grappling with,
Yeah,
especially after a tragedy like this.
for sure.
There's no easy answer, but I think it starts with a shift in perspective.
Okay,
Instead of just reacting to crime after it happens,
right.
we need to be more proactive in preventing it.
Okay, so what would that look like?
Well,
More police patrols, better lighting in public spaces.
those things definitely help.
Yeah,
But it's about more than just the physical infrastructure.
Right.
It's about fostering that sense of community
right.
where people feel empowered to look out for one another
Yeah.
and report anything that seems off.
So it's like that old saying, it takes a village.
Exactly.
We all have a role to play in keeping our community safe.
Absolutely. It's about creating a culture of shared responsibility
Yeah,
where we're all looking out for each other, not just ourselves.
that's a good point.
It also means having those open and honest conversations about personal safety, about what makes us feel vulnerable, and how we can address those concerns.
It's like we can't live in fear,
No,
but we can't be naive either.
exactly.
We need to be aware of our surroundings.
Right.
Trust our instincts and take steps to protect ourselves and those around us.
Sometimes those steps are as simple as walking with a friend at night,
Oh, for sure.
letting someone know where you're going,
Yeah.
or even learning some basic self-defense techniques.
Right.
It's about empowering ourselves and each other.
This deep dive into Katie's case has really been eye-opening.
Yes.
It's a tragic story, for sure.
Yeah.
But it also serves as a powerful reminder, that we're all connected
Yeah.
and that our actions, no matter how big or small, can make a difference in creating safer communities.
What I find so compelling about these unsolved cases
Yeah,
is that they stay with you long after you've heard all the details.
for sure.
They make you think about the world differently,
Right.
about your place in it,
Yeah.
and your responsibility to those around you.
So as we wrap up this episode,
Okay.
I'm left with a question for you, the listener.
Right.
In light of everything we've discussed, what steps can you take to contribute to a safer environment for yourself and for your community? It's something to really consider.
And if anyone listening has any information at all about the murder of Katherine Janness, no matter how small or insignificant it might seem,
Yeah,
please contact the authorities.
it's never too late.
Never.
You can call the APD Homicide Unit at 404-546-4235
Right.
or contact at Stop Crime ATL at 404-577-TIP-PS.
That's 8477.
Sometimes, even the smallest detail can be the missing piece that leads to justice.
Couldn't agree more.
It's a reminder that even in the face of tragedy, hope remains,
Absolute.
and that by working together, we can strive to create a world where stories like Katie's become less and less frequent.
I hope so.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe out there.